This class is concerned with networking strategy. In many aspects of life, in personal, in business, in professional lives, networking is of paramount importance. It adds value on various fronts. For example, it introduces new ideas and can help with career development. The new ideas could be related to a person's own development. It could give a person an insight into what career they should enter or what development they need to further their own career at the moment. Or it could be bringing new ideas into a business. So networking is important as a source of ideas. Information or access to monetary and non-monetary resources comes through networking. It's possible by making contact with others in other businesses and other walks of life to find out where resources can be found. So if a business is in need of resources, then through networking it may be possible to acquire those resources. It may be monetary, it may be money for cash flow purposes or for investment or for startup, or it may be non-monetary. It may be help with setting up a business, just general help in getting the documentation clear and clarifying ideas and speaking to people about marketing strategies and how to organize the business and so on. So one way or the other, networking is a valuable source of information. And it's a prime channel for finding customers and for business partners. Networking is a way in which a company can tap into the resources in another company through tapping in through its personnel, making friends with that company, getting support, speaking to the management of the company about their strategy and about their aspirations, and generally refining their ideas. It's also a way, of course, of making customers, of getting customers, I should say, simply by winning over a customer and by getting referrals from that customer. The number of customers are expanded. When a customer buys the product and has a good experience, then they may recommend it to their friends and their colleagues and their family, and in so doing the number of customers is greatly increased. So networking is important on many fronts. It gets new ideas into the business, or it gets new ideas about, on a personal level, about careers and opportunities. It can show channels for support, monetary support and non-monetary support, and it can also increase customers. It can increase the number of contacts with business partners and open up opportunities through the contacts with business partners. And in general, it's a desirable activity to engage in. So networking is important within business. Now, the networking strategy, well, networking is only really effective when there is a strategy. Otherwise it's haphazard. It doesn't go anywhere in particular. If there is a strategy, if there is a target, it's much more refined and tends to be much more effective. There are 5 stages which determine the success of a networking strategy. The process can be applied to personal, professional and business. So these 5 aspects of networking can be applied to the personal, to the professional and the business. The first one is having a clear understanding of the purpose of networking. Why should the company or why should the person engage in networking? Why should they try to make contacts with others? Why should they try to develop their image and present themselves to others? Why should the company make an effort to do this also? So what's the purpose of networking? That's the first point, and that's a basic question to answer, and to have clarity about why the company or why the person needs to engage in networking. Have a clear picture of that one. Then what's the goal? And the goal is to achieve something. The purpose is to promote the company. The goal is to increase sales in a particular region. So there's a general purpose, promoting the company, and there is a goal, increasing sales in a particular city, or acquiring a new source of raw materials, or tapping into a skill set within a particular community. So there is a particular goal. There's a general purpose, and then there is a particular goal. And it's wise to identify suitable networks. There may be many networks in existence through business contacts with chambers of commerce or institute of directors, or all sorts of contacts that the businesses have, but select the right one. Which one is most appropriate, and try to get entry into that one. So it's identifying the suitable network. Perhaps all networks are impossible. It would take too much time and too much resource. And also many networks will have different objectives and will not be suitable for the purpose which has been identified in stage one. Then how should the network be contacted? What's the mode of contact? Personal contact is recognized as probably the best form of contact. Presenting oneself and face-to-face contact, that's probably the best. But what is the mode of contact? How does the company get into that circle, get into that network? An introduction is normally required. A referral from somebody already in the network who introduces the company, introduces the personnel of the company into the network, and who recommends them as trustworthy, honourable, nice, and they get in on the basis of the referral. So normally it's introduction, it's referral, but it should be face-to-face. The company should be prepared to go and meet others and to circulate and to make contact. And make contact on a wide range of issues, not just the particular issue that interests them. They must show themselves as interested and be willing to contribute towards many different objectives and aspirations of the network, because different people and different companies within the network will have different aspirations. So the company must not be seen as selfish, just focusing in on what it wants, getting what it wants, and using others. It must contribute also. Determine the approach. Organize it. Don't just turn up, but make sure that the research has been done. When a referral has been given and when an invitation has been issued to attend a function, make sure that some research as to who's going to be there, what companies they represent, what's the background on the companies. Be informed about the network. Don't turn up to the function not knowing. Turn up to the function already briefed on who's likely to be there, what companies they represent, how the companies are doing, what the companies have done interesting recently, what their products are, what are the issues, and play the positive card. It means do not upset the people who are there. Don't embarrass anyone by asking why their sales are not doing so well, or have they recovered from the near close down they had a few years back, or have they recovered from the fire which destroyed their warehouse, or whatever. Don't embarrass. Don't cause an issue. Play on the positive side. So there is acceptance within the network. And once established within the network, of course, friendships develop. And friendships means that all the issues that you want to talk about can now be brought up, because they've been brought up from a different position. They've been brought up from a position of friendship and trust. Now let's talk about the purpose of the network. It's to ensure that the network strategy is successful. It's important to know why the network exists. Why do people come together and network in this way? Why do they form little groups and little societies and little clubs? Why do they do this? What's the purpose of it? And the purpose is for mutual support. The purpose is to make contacts, and in case they need support, they've got friends outside of their own company who can help them perhaps with a supply of a particular raw material, or who can lend them a lorry if they need it, if they're short on transport, or if they need some resource. It's a mutual network, a mutual support network. Individuals may network for professional development. So it's not just companies. Individuals may do it as well. The company does it for corporate purposes, but the individual may do it to promote his or her professional career. They want to meet similar individuals who face similar problems and see how the others solve the problem, what networks they're using, and see if they can be referred on also. So networking is not just a corporate activity, it applies to individuals and in the professional sphere as well. So networking could be simply introducing job seekers to prospective employers. That is a form of networking. A society or a club, a HR club, let's say, was formed or is formed in a particular city or in a particular region, and job seekers may go along informally and meet employers and talk to them. Informally, it's not an interview, it's not just find out about the companies and find out what the companies expect, and the employers also have an opportunity to talk to the workers, to the employees, find out what skills they've got, what their ambitions are, what they're like, if they're trustworthy, and so on. It can establish a strong employer or job seeker client base, so that there's a good image of the organization. If it's recruiting, for example, if it's dealing with individuals, the company is seen as making an effort to find out about the individuals and meet them, talk to them, and through referrals, through perhaps people who already work for the company, who now refer someone to the company, who recommend someone to the company. This is a form of networking. It might be a relative, it might be a neighbour, it might be someone they met a while back. But when a particular skill is required by the company, perhaps networking can solve the problem. Perhaps people working for the company currently, or people who know the company through existing networks, can find exactly the right person to meet that requirement. And that's a bit similar to establishing the organization's brand. So the company is known. It's known amongst its its colleagues in a sense. It's corporate colleagues. It's known amongst other companies, but it's also known in the labour market. Employees know about the company. They know from contacts through networks that they've got with employees working for the company what sort of company is, what's the management like, are they supportive, are they too pushy, or are they dominant, or have they got good leadership? What exactly is the management like? So there's a flow of information because of networks. Networks facilitate the flow of information. The information between the company and other companies, and the information between the company and its employees, and through the employees to the outside world into various networks that the employees mix in. They could be social networks, there can be sporting networks, there can be all sorts of networks, but through contacts in those various networks, word gets round as to what the company is like, what they're doing, what their prospects are, and generally speaking, information leaks out. It's, in a sense, deliberately leaked out. It's deliberately leaked out through the various networks that the employees are involved in, and also that the company is involved in. Now, the networking goal, well, the company needs to figure out how much time and effort it's willing to put into networking. If it's too big, if the network is too big, it may be too time consuming. And also, the contacts within the network may be very superficial because there are simply too many contacts. So it's important that within large networks there are sub-networks, and the sub-network, the smaller networks, are the ones that are more precisely matched to the company's goal, the company's objectives. They are ones that are more suitable for the company. So perhaps within a corporate network, not all companies will mix with each other. They'll all be a part of the bigger network, but they may not have a great deal of contact. There may be a select few who speak together more openly and on a more regular basis, and other companies will do the same. So the larger network will be composed of, if you like, smaller networks, sub-networks within it. It's useful to set networking goals. They for a start, set the time limits and the amount of resources that the network is going to absorb. Clearly, it's the case that managers within the company don't want to go to networking meetings every night of the week. They've got lives to lead and families to mix with and issues to deal with on a personal level. So networking commitments have to be scaled according to the resources available. But nonetheless, networking is important, and it should be resourced. That the managers, the employees, the contacts of the business should be able to meet together and exchange ideas and talk and exchange information and hopefully positively promote the business. Networking can foster good motivation, and it can promote the business. If the business is being run in a benign way where managers are supportive of the employees and there is a sort of openness about the business so that the employees see what the business is trying to do and they have a feeling that they're all in it together, then the employees will be more motivated. They will be more committed. It's not just going to work to get a salary. It's going to work because that's a part of their life. That's their, it's almost a social setting. So they need to feel involved in the business, feel committed, and networking does that. So the organization itself is a network. It's a network of employees and managers who are working together to achieve some objective. Employment, stability, promoting the business and so on. And it's in their interest to network outside as well, to get to know each other, to promote understanding of each other, and to generate motivation so that they can motivate each other and support each other within the work environment. So networking can promote motivation, and also through contacts with other networks, employees can see what happens elsewhere. And good practice can be communicated, because if one business is doing things differently, but the workers like the way it's been done, then that's good practice, and that could be communicated through a network to companies. So it's the flow of information, and it's a positive flow of information. Effective goal setting requires some characteristics. How much time and resource should be invested in making new contacts? Well, that's an issue. How much time does the business have? It's important to make new contacts, but the business must run as well. So it's a balance. What initiatives are in place to maintain relations with existing contacts? The danger is that the business overstretches and joins too many networks and ceases to communicate with existing ones. Existing ones go cold. And that may be a pity, because time and effort and resource has gone into cultivating existing networks just to see them fade away because new networks has been found. Maybe that's not a good idea. It might be a good idea if the networks have proven themselves to be ineffective in helping the business and in promoting the business. But they should be carefully evaluated. The business should be careful about maintaining existing contacts, not overstretching. And there's also an issue about finding information about companies and about people, and the accuracy of the information. It's important as a member of a network to have good information and to trust the other members of the network. And that means knowing about them. But getting to know about them is resource intensive. It requires time, it requires resources, it requires energy. And if the business has many pressures on it, management and employees may not have the time to do the resource, to dedicate the resources into networking. So there is again a balance to be struck there. And also the type of network must be identified. There may be many networks available who have different objectives. There may be charitable networks, there may be export networks, people trying to promote exports to other countries, or there might be networks based on technology, or networks based on skills, or there can be networks in many areas. It's important to find the right one, the one that matches the business, and also the one that perhaps matches the individual best. Because as I said, networks can be for corporate purposes, or they can be for personal purposes, for individuals. So it's important to find the right network, not just any network. And there must be a clear understanding as to why contact should be made with the network and what information should be made available within the network. A balance has to be struck in terms of, let's say, the corporate information. Companies have their secrets. They have their secret processes, and they have their secret sources of supply, and they have negotiated discounts which are secret, and so on. So making available information in the network is all very fine, but what information should be made available in the network should be clearly worked out. Clearly it's the case that not everything should be said. There may be competitors within the network who will be only too keen to find out what the terms and conditions of the business are. So the reason for liaison is to get a benefit back, but making the information available in that communications process can be tricky. The company has to ensure that it's not giving away its own secrets. The third stage is identifying suitable networks. There may be many networks available in the area, many corporate networks based on many different functions of business. As I said earlier, exporting or on skills or technology or whatever. There may be many networks, so it's important to identify exactly the right one. The goals of the company in joining the network can only be accomplished if they join the right network. So joining the wrong network and committing resources into participating in the wrong network won't yield a result. And that applies to people as well. Individuals looking to promote their career must join the right network. It must be clearly related to the career that they wish to join. There must be support within it. They must be able to contribute something, because people within the network will want something back. They will want some information, they will want some support. So there is an element of trading support within the network. A network could be, say, to find new clients. In this case, it's important to find contacts within the network who know potential clients. So it's a two-step activity. It may be the case that looking at the network, looking at the companies within the network, or looking at the individuals within the network is okay. That's necessary. But really what the individual or the company is looking at is who's within the network who has contacts with clients or companies or individuals that are useful. So it's a two-step. Sometimes the people within the network are in turn networked with others, and it's the others that the company or the individual wishes to make contact with. So there's elements of research required. Who's friends with whom? And making friends with someone who is friends with someone else, but that someone else is then useful in terms of promoting career or promoting the business. That's the way forward. But knowing that, of course, requires research. The method of contact. Well, the method of contact is normally through referrals and through recommendations. A company or the managers of a company meet the managers of another company at a function, and they may be referred on to a third company who then become their contacts, and the network widens out through that sort of mechanism, that referral mechanism. There are various stages in the whole process. Communications is important, and communications is the way in which the message is passed. The message about what the company makes, where it's positioned, how it's doing, what it's working on. That is a form of information that's communicated in the network. Now, communications can happen on various ways. It could be a letter. It could be a letter from one member of the network to another explaining about some company they met. But letters tend to be seen as quite formal nowadays, and it's more than likely the case. It'll be an email, somebody contacting somebody briefly and saying, oh, by the way, I met somebody from such a company at a networking event or at an event recently, and they make a similar product. So it's a more casual type of communications, particularly if it's within a network where members are very familiar with each other. So email tends to be the way. It could be, of course, face-to-face, where the communications is they meet and they're chatting about the business and about the industry and about issues in the industry, and contacts are spoken of face-to-face. Telephone is also used, and video conferencing is becoming important. It's becoming well established in business circles, and it's only a short step away before it is commonplace. Now, stage 5, determine the approach. This is the final stage, and it's trying to work out how to make an approach to join a network or to make contacts within the network. It's very important that people within the network see companies and see individuals with trust. They believe what they're saying and they trust them. They believe that people within the network are not trying to do damage or to steal or to cheat in any way. They trust the people within the network. If it's based on trust, the network will be sustained. It will last. And there should be good methods of communication within the network. So referrals should be easy and should be quite open. There could be a networking event, for example, and within the event it could be quite a casual event where simply new members to the network are introduced to existing members, and information, basic information at the start is passed to the existing members about the new members, and there's follow-up. The next time they meet, there's a little bit more information added, and eventually they become familiar with each other in the sense that they know what the companies do, what they make, where they're located, the size of the company, the suppliers, and the network is now maturing and well established. So what we've looked at in this session is a whole variety of issues surrounding networks. Networks are important because they're a medium by which companies can promote themselves. Individuals can also promote themselves and promote their careers by joining networks. The networks could be based on their career, on their skills, on their education. It could be a school network. It could be a college network that the individuals have maintained. It could be an alumni of the college. So the whole idea of the network is to gain support, and there's mutual support within the network. If one of the members of the network is experiencing a problem, the others may come to the rescue because they know that member, they're friends with that person's a part of their network, and they may be able to help out. Networking is important. It promotes the business. It's a form of quite sophisticated marketing. It projects the image of the business, and it can promote good standards. Standards of work, the image of the business, the reputation of the business. The same as for individuals, it promotes the individual, the reputation of the individual, the status of the individual, the trustworthiness of the individual. So networking is important. But this brings our discussion here to an end, and that's all I'm going to do on this particular topic. So thank you for watching.